All right, chapter 2, section 3, subtracting integers. Let's go. Okay, there's only one vocab, subtracting integers, and subtracting integers, just because I want to say it 3 times. Okay, to subtract an integer, you add its additive inverse, or we learned the other day that is its opposite. So the same thing. So if we did that with symbols, it would look like a minus b would be the same as a plus the negative of b. So that's the additive inverse, negative b, its additive inverse, the additive of that. So what that would look like in numbers, it's 5 minus 9 would be the same as 5, or change it to its additive inverse, add a negative 9, 5 minus 9 is 4, or negative 4. So you could do the same thing here, negative 2 minus 7, negative 2 plus a negative 7. You add, by the properties we learned yesterday, 2 and add these two together, 2 and 7, take its negative number, or take its, whichever one's the more or the greater one, whatever that absolute value is, absolute value, and you take the negative symbol because both are negative, and that would turn to negative. So I think it's actually easier for me. I'm a visual learner. So I think of it as on a number line. So I kind of have this in my head all the time. So when it says 5 minus 9, so I would change that to 5 plus a negative 9. So I'd first start at 5, and then I would count to the left 9 spaces because it's a negative number. 5 minus 9. So I'd go over 9 spaces. So then I would end up over here at negative 4, tough to see, and negative 4. But I just think it's start here and then go to the left because it's a negative number. All right, 9 minus 14, example number 1. So first we're going to subtract 14, or to subtract, we're going to add a negative 14. So there's the add the negative inverse. So if we add a negative 14 to 9, it'll come out as negative 5. So you could think of that on a number line too, as you went way up here to 9 and then go 14 spaces across. Yeah, that could work. Keep going. All right, negative 10 minus 8. So first we want to think, in order to subtract 8, I have to add a negative 8. Make things just a little bit simpler. So so we could take the absolute value of both, add them together, 10 plus 8, and then make it a negative symbol, which turns out to negative 18. And there's my answer. All right, pause this, give it a shot. Okay, so we take 6 minus 8, think 6 plus a negative 8. Say I like the number line idea, so if I started at 6, then I'd go back 8 spaces. I'd end up with 6 minus 8, or 6 minus 8 is going to be a negative 2. Negative 9 minus 13, I'm going to think 9 plus a negative 13. Absolute value of both of these would be 9 plus 13. 9 plus 13 is going to be 22. Take the negative symbol from both of these, put the negative symbol there, negative 22. Negative 2, negative 22. Okay, so subtracting a negative integer. This is where it gets a little more complicated. But it also kind of relates to when we multiply as well. Whenever you have x, like if I were to multiply a negative 2 times a negative 2, the negative symbols would come together and would turn this into a positive 4, because those two would come together. So that's going to make more sense here in a sec. So if I had 8 minus a minus 3, or minus a negative 3, I would have to take this negative and this negative would be technically multiplied together to make a positive 3. So negative times a negative is a positive 3. So you just think negative and negative makes a positive. 8 plus 3 would make that equal 11. So if you have a negative sign followed by a negative number, they equal a positive sign. So if we have a negative sign followed by a negative number, then they equal a positive number. Positive number. Just do that. So x minus a negative y will turn into a x plus y. All right, so look at this one as an example. 15 minus a minus 4. So we're first going to, in order to subtract negative 4, we now have to add. So we flip the signs of these two. We put them together to make it positive. So 15 plus 4 would be 19. 19 is my answer. Negative 10 minus a negative 7. Okay, so we think to subtract 7, or to subtract a negative 7, I have to add. So these two turn into an add addition symbol. Negative 7 or negative 10 plus 7, I'd be way over here if this was a number line. With zeros here, I'd have negative 10, and I'd add 7, would move it over to a negative 3. So I'd go over like that. Cool, so 3. All right, pause this one, give it a shot. Okay, so let's take 8 minus a negative 2. I would think 8 plus 2. So that's going to equal 10. Negative 12 minus a negative 5. It's going to be negative 12 plus 5, which is going to equal negative 7. All right, example 3. The table here shows a record high and low temperatures for selected states. What is the range for Wyoming? So I'm going to look at Wyoming as the one down here. So it looks like this is what I'm looking for. Looks like the highest temperatures is 114 and the lowest temperature is negative 66. So we need to know the highest and lowest temperatures for Wyoming. So to find the range or difference, we need to subtract the lowest temperature from the highest temperature. So that was 114 minus 66, or minus a negative 66, sorry. So this is where we minus a negative 66, those turn to a positive. So 114 plus 66, punch that in my calculator, would be 180. And it would stay positive. So the range for Wyoming would be 180 degrees for one state. Yikes. So if you think of a thermometer, the difference between 114 above 0 and 66 below 0 is 180 degrees. Seems like a reasonable answer. All right, we won't see too many word problems, but I just wanted that to be there so you could see it. So if we evaluate this, m equals 4, so I'm going to substitute 4 for m. I'm going to put that in there. So first we write the expression, replace the m with 4. So now we have 4 minus a negative 2. Now we have to think to subtract negative 2, I have to add 2. Take that negative and negative, turn it into a positive. 4 plus 2 equals 6. All right, evaluate x minus y if x is negative 14 and y is negative 2. So we're going to start by substituting. So I'm going to substitute x with 14 and y with negative 14 and y with negative 2. Negative 14 minus a minus 2, or minus a negative 2. So we turn that minus a negative 2 into a addition. So instead of subtracting 2, we're going to add 2. So negative 14 plus 2, if I was way over here, it would be negative 14 over 2 would be negative 12. Or you can punch it into your calculator, which I'm sure most of you are going to do. All right, gets a little more complicated, and you will see ones just like this. Probably the second half of the lesson is going to be this kind of stuff. So take these three numbers. We're going to insert them in for P, Q, and R. So P goes to here, Q goes to here, R goes to here. So rewrite the expression. Then we're going to use order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Whoop, whoop. So we took negative 11 plus 6, because we're adding left to right. Negative 11 plus 6 turns into negative 5. and then negative minus a negative, or subtracting a negative turns into a positive, so that's where that turns into. Now we take negative 5 plus 12, turns up to 7, because negative 5 plus 12 is 7. So our answer would be 7. Pause these, give them a shot. All right, so let's put these in. Substitute p for 4, or negative 4 for p, so negative 4, oops, let's move this over here. Negative 4 minus a negative 6, so it's going to go negative 4 plus 6. It's going to equal a positive 2. Let's try this one. Negative 9 minus a negative 3. That's going to turn into negative 9 plus 3. Negative 9 plus 3 is going to be a negative 6. Substitute these in over here. So negative 1 minus a negative 5 and plus a negative 4. All right, negative 1. Let's rewrite this one out here. Let's simplify this. It's going to be a positive 5. And that's going to be a negative 4. So negative 1 plus, or actually you could look at it this way. Negative 1 and negative 4 is going to be a negative 5, and those will just turn into opposites. Or we could go just do it left to right. Negative 1 plus 5 is going to be a negative. It's going to be a positive 5 minus, or sorry, positive 4 minus 4. Those two will cancel each other out. It's going to equal 0.